Hey, what's up guys, and welcome in this new tutorial where I'm gonna show you how to always nail your compression settings. So before starting with the video, I would like to remind you that all of the samples used in this project are from our pack Roomba Volume 5, which is a Latin tech house collection of one-shots, loops, construction kits and much more that you can check out from the link in the description below. So let's have a listen to this drop. So basically we have a drum section here with kick, clap, adds and some percussion, a bass line and a vocal. So to start this tutorial we have to learn what a compressor does and how it works. So I'm gonna go here in the drum bus and I'm gonna load the Pro C2. I'm gonna use the Pro C2 because it has a better user interface, but what I'm going to explain is doable on all of the compressors. So first of all we have to learn what a compressor does, and basically a compressor reduces the peaks whenever they hit a certain threshold that you can set it here. So let's start with the threshold at 0 and let's solo the drum bass. As you can see, whenever the peaks hit the threshold, they are reduced in gain, and this is really helpful to make the volume of the various elements in your tracks consistent. First of all, I'm gonna guide you through all of these knobs and what they do, and then I'm gonna show you some examples on the drum bass, the bass and the vocals, so that you can always pick the right compressor settings in your tracks. First of all, we're gonna start with the threshold. So as I anticipated, this is the line where compression starts, and then we have the ratio, which is how hard you want the compression to be. So if we set the compression at 1 and we reduce the threshold, we will see that we won't have any compression. And that's because what the ratio means, as you can see here, we have 1 to 1. So the first number is the input gain and the second number is the output gain. So we're getting 1 dB in and we're getting 1 dB out, so we don't have any compression. If we go, for example, to 2 to 1, we'll get 2 dB of input and 1 dB of output. We're gonna keep the threshold at around minus 16 dB, so you can see how the ratio affects the compression. And if we go higher and higher, you will see that the compression will become harder and harder. And for example, if we go at 8 to 1, that means that 8 dB of input gain will equal to 1 dB of output. You can see a difference here when we go from 1 to 8. Then we got 100 to 1, which is the highest amount of ratio possible, and this is basically a limiter, but we will cover this later on in our baseline example. So that's for the threshold and the ratio. We're going to keep the ratio at around 4 to 1 so that we can go on to explain the rest of the settings. Then we have attack and release. So basically the attack is how long does it take for the compressor to reach 100%, and then release means how fast or slow the compressor stops working. So if we go for a slow release, the compressor will take a bit more time to engage at 100%, and if we go to a slow release, the compressor will continue to work a bit longer. Well, if we go with fast, the compressor will start working right away and it will end as soon as the audio signal ends. As you can hear, when we go with fast attack and fast release, we get basically some distortion, but usually you are never gonna go this fast with the attack and the release, as I'll show you in the example later on. Then we have the gain, and this is to compensate the gain reduction of the compressor. So let's say we have the threshold here. As you can see, we have around minus 2.4 dB of gain reduction, so that we can use the gain to bring the level of the whole audio track back again. So we can increase it by 2.5. This way we won't have any gain changes inside of the track. You can also set it to automatic so that it will automatically compensate for the gain reduction, but I'd rather use it manually so that I can adjust it as I want. The last thing that you want to look at is the knee. So this is how hard or soft the compression will be. So as you can see, hard we have this really aggressive angle, so this means that the compression will hit faster. While if we go for a softer knee, as you can see, we have this kind of curve and the compression will be a little bit smoother and gradual. Inside of the Pro C2 we also have the hold function, and it makes you hold the compression for a certain amount of time, but we're not going to use that in this video. We're just going to focus on attack and release. Now that we've covered the basics and now that you know what everything does inside of a compressor, it's time to do some examples. So we're going to start with the drum bass. We're going for a medium attack and medium release, more or less like this, and in general a softer knee. So basically we are going with a medium to fast attack because we want to let the transients go through. If we went for a super fast attack, the compressor will basically be triggered only by the transient of the drums and it will sound really bad. While if we go like this, we have more dynamic and it sounds a bit more organic. As for the release, we're going a bit faster because in drums you have a lot of transients that are really close together, so you don't want the compression to overlap. In terms of gain reduction, we're getting around -2 to -2.5 dB that we are adding with the gain. And yeah, that's it for the drum bass. Then we have the bassline. So we're gonna put the compressor before the sidechain. Let's have a listen to the bassline. Here once again you want to go with a soft knee. Let's do a faster attack in order to catch these peaks from where the notes are hitting. Okay, like this. Another thing that you can do on the bassline is actually to use a limiter. So we're going with the Ableton standard limiter here, and basically, as I told you before, a limiter is a compressor with a really high ratio. So what we're gonna do here is slowly increase the gain, maybe 2 to 3 dB of gain reduction. We have to add a utility as well to reduce the volume. Something like this. And what we're doing with the limiter is basically raising the quieter part of the bassline instead of reducing the loudest part, which is what we did with the compressor. This works really well with the bassline because we get a really consistent sound. So I'm gonna group these two and I'm gonna switch between compression and limiting. You can really hear how with the compressor we are basically reducing the louder peaks, while with the limiter we are raising the quieter ones. In general, I think that the limiter option is much better for tech house tracks which have really a big bassline, so that you can get a consistent track and maintain a lot of power. But you can also try with the compression approach and maybe add some saturation later on. And the final thing is gonna be the vocal. So Here we have a bit of processing. We have a ProQ3, de-esser, then a track spacer for the sidechain. But let's go with the Pro C2. Here we're going for a soft knee, and we are going with medium attack and medium release, something like this more or less. Making the attack a bit faster so that you can catch the transients. So that's all for this tutorial on how to always nail your compression settings. Don't forget to check out Roomba Volume 5 from the link in the description below. Let us know what tutorials would you like to see next, and I'll see you soon. Bye!